Many of our children are so smart that they can actually fake it for years. And they're not really decoding, they're memorizing words, and they can memorize whole books. They get to around 4th grade or 6th grade, and they're introduced to nonfiction. And either you can decode a word like photosynthesis, or you can't.
I'm 24 years old. I was diagnosed in 2nd grade with a reading disorder, which now would be diagnosed as dyslexia. So I say I have dyslexia. I have an 8th grade reading level. I work on it every single day. My reading, I try to learn new words all the time, but I can't sound out words. And every word I know I've memorized.
Sometimes these children, when they go through a neuropsych evaluation, they're given the IQ test, and you can see that their IQs can be really high, but they struggle with some of the visual perception skills, but yet their verbal comprehension, when they're provided information from a teacher, they can understand everything.
It's completely unlinked in any way, shape, or form to intelligence, and some incredibly intelligent people have been diagnosed with dyslexia.
When you have a room of 30 kids and there's one kid just not doing their work, it's easy to say, well, the student doesn't get it or the student isn't trying. But those kids are trying harder than anything, harder than anyone can see.
I read with my ears and my eyes, and I walk around with a highlighter and Post-its, and it's just not as accepted than just with the eyes.
To ask them to read out loud, to specifically target their weakness, it just leads to a loss of self-esteem and in sometimes just sheer panic.
I'm in grad school right now at Columbia University's Teachers College, and I still get the anxiety of being scared to read out loud. Because of that fear my whole life and all that anxiety, I've always questioned my capability to be successful.
Sometimes that diagnosis and evaluation doesn't take place till very late. And unfortunately, it can be with tragic results and consequences.
A lot of these kids may choose not to go to college, even though they're perfectly intelligent enough, they've got all the interests, there are things they really want to pursue, but they just feel they just can't. It's just too much work.
Learning disabled kids, dyslexics, run the gamut in intelligence. And we are relegating those kids to the scrap heap simply because we're not changing our educational practices.
Depending on what statistics you look at, it's between 10 and 20% of the population. So if it's 1 in 5, I mean, this is not just some rare, obscure thing, and why are people throwing money at it? It's an enormous issue.
Every one of us should value these children for their potential, and we're not. We don't understand them, we misinterpret them, we don't teach them the basic ways they need to be taught to be successful, and they can be successful, wildly successful.
The implication of learning disability, that somebody could somehow be so disabled that they couldn't learn, is the wrong orientation. I would tell you I do not have a learning disability. I can learn a lot of things just fine. I would tell you I have a reading disability. And I experience a reading disability based on my environment. So instead of locating the problem of dyslexia in me, let's locate the problem of my reading disability in the environment. If, for instance, you asked me to read some material that was required for a class or something like that, if you said you have to read it with your eyes, then I'm very disabled. But if you said you can read it however you want, well, I'm going to read it with my ears. I'm going to go get it, I'll use my age, I'm going to go get it a book on tape. Now they'll get it on their iPod. And that minor shift of let's think about the disability in terms of environment, not the person, gives us the solutions.
And I think that's how we do it. I think we do it slowly, incrementally, and every time we do it, it gets a little bit better for 1, 2, 3, hopefully tens of thousands of students.